Hi there, welcome to the channel and welcome back if you're a return viewer. You're watching the Christchurch Review of Books and I'm the host, Kerry. Today, a quick review I suppose on a book I finished about a week ago, and that book is Abroad in Japan by Chris Broad. Now for some reason I went into this book without knowing that Abroad in Japan is also a hugely successful YouTube channel of the same name. It took me till I was partway into this book before I realised that. And now I'm a avid viewer of the channel because I enjoyed it immensely, and that pretty much sums up my review of this book. It's a lot of fun, it's enjoyable, eye-opening, and educational. So basically what it's about is it follows the story of Chris Broad, who in 2012 took up an opportunity to go and teach English in Japan. The book starts with him in a stressful interview situation which he muddles through, and then it switches back to how he first heard about the JET scheme, where you sign up to teach English in Japan for I think a minimum of 3 years at a time. He's on a plane and another passenger tells him about the scheme and he thinks it sounds okay, and there's a rigorous process to go through before you have to go for a final interview, and then you may be selected. So he ends up landing in Tokyo, I think August 2012. As part of the selection you have to choose a location to be posted to in Japan, and you're advised not to choose one of the major cities like Tokyo or Osaka, etc. He ends up in a small northern Japanese town called Sakata. It's a region that used to be wealthy due to a regional trade route. Various commodities which are no longer traded, and the town has suffered as a result. Also, the ongoing economic and demographic decline of Japan has hit this town, so it's a little less than thriving and successful. And another result is the educational resources from the entire district have been consolidated into the town, so there's like a mega school there, and that's where Broad is posted. And cue a whole lot of chapters about being a fish out of water, trying to fit in. He has the help of some fellow expats. One of them is actually a New Zealander who is already teaching over in Japan, and he's helped along his way, and he discovers the local nightlife. I think the Izakawa bars, where you basically go after work and get smashed and then try and drag yourself back home to start all over again. The teaching in Japan is of varied quality. It seems that Japanese authorities basically didn't pin a lot of importance on English as a language to teach until fairly recently, and as a result of these kind of lax standards, the Japanese English teachers are of very lax standard themselves. Some can't even talk in English, speak in English, some can't string together a sentence, and Broad has to basically stand by in the classroom as these teachers fumble and bumble around, and it's basically not the done thing to actually point out the errors, so it leads for some fairly stressful situations. But on the other hand, some other teachers are really good and have spent time overseas and are fluent English speakers, so he has a mixed bag there. And so he goes ahead and kind of acclimatizes to Japan, all the little quirks. We learn about things like the amazing convenience stores where you can basically spend your whole life eating and paying your bills and what have you in a store. There's all little things like that, little aspects of Japanese culture which was eye-opening and informative. I mean, if you're like me, you have probably read other travelog books about Japan, and one thing I'm thankful for in Broad's book is he does not dwell on ancient traditions and so on. Other books kind of ignore modern Japan and go back and dig up the past with samurais and warlords and what have you. This book largely avoids that. It more shows how the traditions and modern culture have collided and created a modern country. And so the teaching thing, he gains kind of kudos with the kids, he gains kudos with his other teachers, and so it was surprising to me after his 3 years are up, he decides not to actually renew his contract and he leaves the teaching. And the teaching part of the book is the majority of the book. I think it's about 2/3 of it, or at least even more. In the meantime, he had started making videos about Japan and putting them online, and this basically has taken off. He's become extremely successful thanks to various videos going viral and what have you, and he basically decides to make that his main focus of his life, and he stays in Japan. He's still in Japan now. He's still running his Abroad in Japan YouTube channel, and the remainder of the book is kind of like a mixed bag of some of the highlights or major events he's taken part in and filmed since leaving teaching. We see him being hired to front documentaries about Japan for overseas audiences. He visits Fukushima after the tsunami, tidal wave, nuclear meltdown disaster. He is around when a North Korean missile causes a air raid alert, which sends everyone scurrying, and that video he makes about it becomes viral and he's interviewed everywhere. And the last part of the book is he experiences a massive earthquake, and he's very vivid in his descriptions, and something everyone here in Christchurch could relate to, as we've suffered through a lot of those ourselves. I found the latter half part of the book with all these kind of highlights of his life there a little lesser than the first section. I just found the quality dropped off. I was less interested in this. I mean, it's good for him that he's become successful doing what he loves, but I think the fish out of water suffering, learning to explore and cope and live in the Japanese culture was the more interesting, more eye-opening part of the book. His teaching experiences likewise. When he goes off on his own and his own adventures, I think we've heard these things a little bit before, and I don't know. I just didn't enjoy that part of the book. Maybe it's just me. I didn't enjoy it as much, but it's still very readable and enjoyable, just like the first bit better. He's very self-effacing and humorous and witty, as you expect, and of course he's British, so you know what you get into with a travel log written by a Brit. I think I've read enough of them in the last few years. It seems to be becoming one of my go-to genres, and he stands up there with the best of them. And so, like I said, I've started viewing his channel, and right now he's doing a kind of a series on his YouTube channel called Journey Across Japan Non-Stop North, where he's driving a little K car, one of the little boxy cars in Japan, around the northern areas of Japan for 3 weeks, and seeing how things are in these various small towns and cities and what have you. And it's very enjoyable. I mean, I can recommend that channel, and his YouTube channel has I think close to 3 million subscribers now. And the thing is, I had no idea that it even existed. I might have seen it in my feed but completely ignored it. Now I enjoy it. So the book is just as enjoyable as the YouTube channel. It's interesting and fun and eye-opening, like I said. Probably not the absolute pinnacle of travel writing, but as a memoir, as an experience, a human experience, it is really good. So that is Abroad in Japan by Chris Broad. Okay, thank you. We'll see you again next time. Have a good day, have a good evening, have a good night. Whatever it is where you are, we'll see you soon.